Hey everyone, just Elizabeth here. Just wanted to share some quick thoughts really quick in regards to if you want to survive and thrive, you need to start breaking autopilot. If you watched my textile video several months back, I don't even remember when I did it, I talked a lot about how in terms of that creation point with fiber arts, women pre-1920s had like a piece of fabric, whether they want to do needlepoint or quilting, and they just started to make something out of it, right? So there probably were some patterns. Yeah, patterns were available through like newspapers and stuff like that. But what started happening with the automation process was that they started creating pre-made stamped linens, and then stamped linens went into kits, and then the kits went to even more automated kits where instead of the pattern being in blue, they did everything in its specific color, so you just follow along. So my point is, there have been so many faceted areas of life that have bred us to be on autopilot. This is not anything new. Technology and the television has ramped it up and has accelerated the automation process to where what is cultivated today, especially with these stupid Alexa devices, is that it has caused people to appreciate all the convenience factors of all these things to where they have become spoiled and lazy. And when you have a spoiled and lazy culture, things will generally start to break down even more and more and more. Some of this has to do with, our intellectual nation. The more intellectual somebody is, the less likely they're wanting to do any sort of laborious blue-collar job. I believe through basic analytics, that's part of the reason why we have to import so many migrants and third world individuals in this country, is because our young people who are bred on these screens that have been automating their mind and making them lazy, is that they don't want to earn anything and they don't want to do any hard work. They want everything to come to them a lot easier, and that's never been the case in this country or within the last several, let's just say decades or a couple hundred years. Old ladies today talk about how they can't even get a teenage boy that lives down the road to mow their lawn in the summertime. Back in the 50s and 60s, how many young boys, that was part of their little, not like it was an income, but an allowance. Like the way that these boys earned money, young guys, whatever, let's just say like even a 12-year-old kid, they mowed the neighbor's lawn for the old lady. Young guys don't want to do that today. So here's the thing. The automation process, like I said, has been going on for a very long period of time. Yes, religion has played a factor in that automation process. If you've ever gone to church, you sit up, you stand down, whatever, you follow along. School has been a main cause of that. So, and then computers and technology have just made it even worse, has automated the brain. People don't even want to read much anymore. They just want to watch everything from a video. So that automation of the brain has decelerated or destroyed our intellectual capabilities and our mental faculties. So if you really want to survive and thrive, it is really important to start to break through autopilot. A lot of the ways that I did it was through yoga and meditation. It really woke me up and snapped me out of this little, like a dream that I was in. I always was kind of mentally with it more than other people my age, but it's like it really accelerated this capability of being able to learn and understand certain things on top of just gaining wisdom and life experience as we age. But I was also not brought up with technology like the young kids. Like none of us had a cell phone or a laptop until we officially went to college. So once we were 18 years old, So the younger generation, you have a lot more work to do as compared to the older generation who has been brought up and raised predominantly their entire life trying to figure shit out. They read maps. They the hinge on the door broke, so they got to figure out how to fix that type of thing, you know? So there was a lot more life, hand and mind skills that they had to use, which is why they're a little more with it. But I have seen, especially at retirement homes, when you get a little bit more cushy lifestyle senior citizens, a lot of them have been highly manipulated, especially the older ones. So the most important thing that anybody could be doing right now is regaining your mental faculties, because there's going to be a lot of spiritual and psychological strength that's going to need to that is going to be needed for this immediate future, especially if shit starts hitting the fan in your local neighborhood or in this country. There's so many different ways to build up your mental faculties. I mean, some people do things like crossword puzzles and things like that, and board games can kind of help increase that. I just think of trying to do stuff as much as you can off the screen is going to be helpful. I think just even getting back to reading, maybe taking more nature walks outside, listening to both sides of the perspective so you can start to build up your logical skills to help you start to navigate with wiser decisions for your future. But I do think if you want to survive and thrive, you're going to have to break the autopilot. And we're seeing autopilot happen in many ways. I mean, look at how many people signed up for the jab, how many people just follow along with whatever the doctor's orders are, how many people have been blindly following Israel. But every kind of culture and community has had their own weaknesses in this point, because we've all followed along with presidents and stuff like that. So I just think breaking autopilot is going to be the best. If I can find any reading links, I'll go ahead and link those down below to give some tips on breaking autopilot. Build up those mental faculties. That, coupled with ramping up your diet and building up your physical strength, is going to be very key. I'll share one story before I leave. I believe this was June 24th of 2015. I remember the date because my sister's birthday is June 25th, but my ex-husband and I went to Greece. This is when we were living in Germany in 2015, and we did take a week to go to Greece, to Crete. And the island of Crete, or Kreta, some people say. And anyways, I remember hearing the news, and it was a beach vacation, because in Germany you don't get a lot of beaches. And there were a bunch of French and British tourists that were mowed down on a beach in a resort up in North Africa somewhere. I don't remember if it was Morocco or Algeria. So I don't remember exactly where. I'd have to look it up. But through the news report, from what I heard, is that all those people in the front row, specifically more British tourists, got shot up. So really what happened is some guy on a boat who was of North African descent, and I think he was Islamic, was on a boat with a machine gun and just started mowing down people on the beach. And so the news report talked about how a lot of those people in the front row were very overweight and morbidly obese British people. They were so slow to get up and to react. They could not react because they were, the easiest way for me to say it is that they were too overweight and obese. They could not physically get up and escape as quickly. So the people in the back row had a little bit more of a ability to get out and run toward the actual hotel, because they were already closer to the hotel. They were in the back rows of the beach lounge chairs. But it seemed like more of the bigger ones weren't able to make it out. So I'm not really one to head off on doom and gloom, but because a lot of CrossFit people can be like that. It's like, yeah, let's get a bunch of ammo and do 50 pull-ups and destroy our body. So, that's like the extreme end of the spectrum, but I do think it's extremely important to start taking your physical and your mental health very, very seriously, because what we were witnessing with all the EMF and all these radio waves that are floating through the ethers is we don't even know if people's behavior is going to be coming from themselves or if it's just going to be manipulated from technology. So it is really important to not only use your mental faculties to make wise decisions and start figuring stuff out, but it's also being able to be in control of your own mind. That is going to be extremely, extremely important. So, it's that with physical strength and spiritual strength. That's your, the unity of that little bubble or triad, and it's going to be very necessary. Have a good one. Bye-bye.